Hello everyone, my name is Nicole Fegan, and like many people I watch on BookTube, I've been in a massive reading slump pretty much all year. Part of it is that I'm in the middle of a book that is dense and wonderful, but incredibly dense, and I read like 20 pages every few days. And I don't often love to read multiple books at the same time, so I've been on that for a while, but also I haven't been pushing myself. I've just kind of been letting myself not read a lot, and I've read like maybe 9 books this year, which is not a ton for me by June. So for this video, in an attempt to get me to read some books, I'm going to be reading the highest rated books on my bookshelf as rated by Goodreads users. First off, I know that like Goodreads ratings are not like the end-all be-all of whether a book is good, but I just needed a metric to get like 3 books for me to read. And second, I have 2 shelves on Goodreads, well 3 I guess. I have my to read, which encapsulates both my to buy list and my own and to read list. So there might be higher things on my overall to read, but I want to try to read some of the things I have behind me before I go out and buy new books. So first, before we dive into what I'm going to be reading from this shelf, I recently moved in with my boyfriend and he has like 90 books of his own. So what I did the other day, I didn't want to add them all to my Goodreads because I didn't want to like spam my feed. So I put them all into a Google sheet and I found all the averages and I found the one with the highest rating, and that was Monument by Natasha Trethewey. Poetry overall seemed to have the highest ratings, I think because if you're someone who's setting out to read a poetry book, it's likely that you already like poetry and so you're predisposed to like it. But this had, I think, a 4.44 from over 400 ratings. There were some books that had like a 4.5 from 10 ratings, and I discounted those because like I wanted, I don't know, a bigger sample size, but this had an amazing rating from many ratings. I'm about halfway through this, and I will probably update you when I finish it later today, but it is very good so far, but thoughts on that are coming later. Actually, a brief summary of what this is. This is a collection of poetry that are snippets from each of her or some of her other poetry books. Natasha Trethewey is a Black poet and she writes about family and about histories and about other lives, and it's just been really beautiful so far, but I will go into more of this later. But for my books, I have no idea what I'm going to be reading yet, and I have an idea of what I'd like to read. Again, when I was going through my boyfriend's books, I found that like poetry was often at the top, and I don't really want to read 3 poetry books. I'd kind of like to read a poetry book and then maybe 2 novels, or like a novel and a nonfiction or short story collection, so I'm looking to diversify this because I don't want to just read like 3 of the same thing. Alright, I'm now screen recording and going to Goodreads. Let's go to my, what's it? My own and to read. Where are you? Own and to read. And good lord, this is going to be great footage. Average rating. Okay. So up first we have Mary Oliver, who is a poet, and again, I don't really want to read like 2 poetry books. But next we have Night by Eli Wiesel, which is indeed a nonfiction book, so I will be picking that. Autobiography of Red is poetry. Infinite Jest is over 1,000 pages long, and I'm reading it next year, and that wouldn't help with the whole reading slump thing anyways. Love Poems is poetry. I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings. First off, I think it's nonfiction, and second, my boyfriend has it with him. Which means I'm reading Giovanni's Room, which I am 99% certain is a novel, and that is so exciting to me because I was supposed to read Go Tell It on the Mountain by James Baldwin my senior year of college, and for some reason I just didn't get around to that. That was like the one book I gave myself a freebie on the semester. We weren't like given freebies, I just didn't, I don't know. So like I was busy or something and didn't get a chance to read it, but I have wanted to read James Baldwin for so long. And the unintentionally excellent thing about this is that both of these books are pretty small. Night is only, you know, like 120 pages, and Giovanni's Room I think is also quite short. Yeah, it's less than 200, it's like 170. So I kind of struck a gold. I believe Night is about the Holocaust. Yes, it is an autobiographical telling of Elie Wiesel's experience of that. And Giovanni's Room, I believe, okay, set in the 1950s Paris of American expatriates, liaisons, and violence, a young man finds himself caught between desire and conventional morality. I believe this has gay representation. I believe James Baldwin was gay, and I believe this book is about a gay man, though don't hold me to that because I could be wrong. So we've got our 3 books, and I'm gonna try to actually vlog as best as possible. I've never really been good at that. I've kind of taken like the Jack Edwards approach and just like summed up books when I've finished, but hopefully I will talk to you guys as I'm reading. So let's get started. All right, so I don't know where I'm gonna vlog in this entire apartment, so bear with me as I test things out. But this is my desk. Can you see it? That's my laptop, my whatever. I've got art up there that I want to show you in a second, but it took me like 5 minutes to find this camera angle, so we're gonna stay here for a little bit and talk about Monument by Natasha Trethewey because I just finished it. For the other 2 books, I promise I want to like show you where I'm reading, take you along, but it's been a long day. The sun is setting and I just want to talk about this book because oh my god. First off, to start with the big news, I very rarely 5 books. Like a 5 is big for me. That means like a personal favorite. And at least on like impulse reaction, I gave this 5 stars. So like I mentioned in the intro, it's a book of poetry that it's like a collection of poems from her other books. So there are common themes, but you also get like snippets of projects. For instance, like one of the books that is snippeted about here is like a book of poetry about prostitutes, and so you get that story, and she also writes about slavery, and then she also writes a lot about her family. I'm going to go into some details in a little bit, but like you get this almost mosaic-like effect in this collection because you get these like micro narratives. And I usually don't love like collections of poetry. I like not having like those micro narratives, but I like being able to kind of like see a project from toe to tip, like get the full experience of what the author is trying to communicate. But I didn't feel myself missing that because I think I feel like the word mosaic is just like the best thing I can think of to describe it, because the political and the historical and the personal end up commenting on each other in a way that wouldn't have happened if I only read one of the specific books. So I read up a little bit about Trethewey before I started reading this book and found out that her mother is black, her father is white. They got divorced at some point, and then her mother was murdered by the stepfather. And I was like, wow, that's really good background information. I'm gonna go into this with that and it's gonna be good. I did feel like that was good background information, but I feel like she communicates that so well through her more personal poetry that I didn't even have to look it up beforehand. She explores her race and her mixed race identity in ways that I think are so complex and both like interesting to read about as someone who does not have that experience, and also just like as a lover of poetry, she is like so talented. I think my favorite thing about her style is that it feels at times not casual, but it is immensely readable while still being complex. I know a lot of times people think that like poetry is either simple or it is good, and I feel like that is a completely false dichotomy because there was never once where I really was like lost in any of her poems, and at the same time I felt so immersed in all of them. A few of my favorites, in case you can find them either online or if you ever end up picking up this book, Belloc's Ophelia, which I believe is the title of one of her books, because Belloc was a photographer who famously photoed prostitutes, and again, one of the sections of this book is about prostitutes. There was this poem, this is part of a larger poem, called Native Guard, and there was a particular section of it called April 1863 that I just thought was really interesting. It starts, when men die, we eat their share of hardtack, trying not to recall their hollow sockets, the worm stitch of their cheeks. Today we buried the last of our dead from Pascagoula, and those who died retreating to our ship, white sailors in blue firing upon us as if it were the enemy. I'd thought the fighting over, then watched a man fall beside me, knees first as in prayer, then another, his arms outstretched as if borne upon the cross. Smoke that rose from each gun seemed a soul departing. The colonel said, an unfortunate incident, said, their names shall deck the page of history. I just read the whole little section. Ugh. And then my third favorite is Waterborne, which is a poetry about her mother. Just like the way she writes about her mother and about her father and about her stepfather and her brother, like I almost appreciated in a way, and again, I don't know how much of this was intentional versus just like the nature of this is a collection of poems from other collections, but like the way we would get personal details peppered in with these like historical poems just felt like they were all commenting on each other in different ways. Like blackness throughout the history, because like her own confrontations with her skin color and her family members, and then like you go back to like these discussions of slavery and what it has historically meant to be black, and it was just like, it was so good. I'm like gonna gush about it forever. It was really, really good. I hope those thoughts made sense. I haven't like talked about a book on camera in what feels like a very long time, but it was really good, and if you can get your hands on it, I cannot recommend it enough. Now, I'm gonna go behind the camera and show you my art wall, and I literally have to lift up my tripod, so oh my god, this is so silly. Do you like it? I have two art walls. Let's see if we can zoom in. This is literally the stupidest thing I've ever done because I didn't want to take my camera off the thing. So the top right and bottom left are little doodles that I have done because I like doodling lines, and the other things are stuff that my friend Kiara did. Over here, that is a print I bought based on Alex G, the artist, some of his stuff. That is a painting of Virginia Woolf done by my friend Quincy. That, boop, oh my god, that and that, that's just like a postcard, but that is a painting done by this artist named Yaya, and I'm obsessed with her paintings. Those are postcards, and then these four are little paintings of Iceland that my friend Chris did for me back in high school. That is a painting of a place in Providence that I really miss. And I'm a Capricorn, bitch. And that's gonna that's gonna end this portion of the video. Jesus Christ, hope y'all are having a good time, because I'm having a great time holding my, can you even see, hold on. Do you see this? Do you see this? Are you having a good time? I'm having a really good time. All right, I'll talk to you guys when I start probably Giovanni's room next. I'm probably gonna do that and then end on night. Cool. Hi everyone, it's Sunday. I don't know when I'm posting this video. Sunday's not gonna mean anything to anyone. I have no energy today. I woke up and my body was like, oh no, hun, you've got nothing in you today. My plan for today was, and still is, to read all day, but I am on page 44 of Go Tell It on the Mountain, and there's like a shred of me that's like, all right, let's give an update. We have enough energy for this, so we're gonna do that now. I read the first two chapters of the first part of Giovanni's Room by James Baldwin, and I feel like I could give a bit of a better synopsis now. This is about a man named David, who I don't totally know how old he is, like at the present tense of the story, but he is an American, he's from New York, and in like his early adulthood he went to live in Paris, and the present tense of the book, someone he knows is about to get executed. I don't want to spoil it, the lighting in here just totally changed because the sun went behind a cloud. And he is kind of telling about his life in the past tense. So again, I feel like maybe at some point, like, the present tense is going to catch up with us and we're going to see like the after of that event. But right now we're kind of like learning about him and about his adventures. Adventures is probably the wrong word. His life in Paris. There's this woman, Hella, that he has been with long term, but he doesn't really want to get married to her because I think it's pretty clear that either David is gay or just has feelings for men and does not experience those same feelings for either women in general or Hella specifically. And I just got to the scene where he meets Giovanni. Giovanni is a character in this, is not just like, I don't know, metaphorical Giovanni's Room. The plot aside, I think what I'm loving most about this so far is that like David's voice comes through so clearly. It really does feel like it's being told in past tense. Like, it's obviously narrated, and Baldwin's writing style is like beautiful. It's one of those books where I feel like every other line I'm like, Jesus Christ. But yeah, more than anything, I feel like I can really hear him, and that's something I always look for in books, is like when, I don't know, the like character or a narrator feels so specific, and I can definitely feel him in this. So yeah, I'm really loving this so far. I feel like I'm having a good time, but I can tell it's gonna hurt. I can tell it's gonna hurt a lot, and I'm excited about that, because like, when's the last time a book has made me cry? I don't really know. Something that did make me cry is yesterday I went to a real life movie theater with, not with 15 other people, but there were only like 15 people in the audience to see How to Train Your Dragon. Seeing it for like the billionth time, but for the first time in theaters, because I, like a weird person, got really into them when I was in high school. So I got to see the sequel and the threequel in theaters when those came out, but I had never seen the original in theaters. So that was a great time, and I cried about that. That's my life update. I'm gonna keep reading this and drinking juice. This is my afternoon today, and I will either check in with you later tonight or tomorrow when hopefully I've finished this. I'm kind of trying to read 2 books in 4 days, which for me is a big deal. So hopefully I will have finished this by tomorrow night and I can give you some final thoughts. Hi everyone, it's Tuesday. I look dismayed, probably, or something. I dropped my camera the other day, or rather it was on the tripod and it was dark and I tripped over the tripod and like the whole thing came tumbling down. So I think I broke either my camera or just like the lens because it won't zoom in or out. So apologies if this is out of focus or out of frame or anything. I'm kind of working with like, it won't, like whatever, like I don't know, it has a settings between like 18 to 55 or whatever it's on right now. It's what I have to work with for the next few days until I can buy a new lens or get it fixed or something. So that really sucks. I'm also dismayed, I guess, because I just finished Giovanni's room and I am in so much pain. I know I said when talking about Monument that I don't usually 5 books, and that's a true fact. I probably like in a year, like I will 5 like 2 to 3 books in a good year. I'm 5ing this, so we've got 2 5-star books in the same video. Let me give you some thoughts. First off, I want to clarify some things. I don't entirely remember everything I've said because I haven't edited all the previous clips so far. If I have said that this is about a black gay man in Europe or in Paris, scratch that. James Baldwin is a black man, and I think I know that he writes often about blackness and about queerness or about gayness, but this is not like explicitly about blackness. I don't think David's race is ever specified. He is referred to as blonde, but I just didn't want to give that that impression or like that wrong synopsis because that is not a part of this book. Similarly, I think one of the things I loved most about this is that it is a book about sexual identity and sexual life without using a single term, and not even as just like ooh, we're not going to use terms, but like it's a man grappling with his feelings for men and his feelings for women without the explicit question of the words of identity, without like the notion of coming out or about the technicalities of language. It's just like about the pure experience. And I don't know, there's something interesting about that, and especially heartbreaking, like watching him tackle his own internalized like homophobia or queerphobia, that like he is ashamed of his own feelings at so many points and like doesn't have the language for it. It's just like it's just like heartbreaking at kind of every turn. I also loved, so the main character's name is David, but I feel like he's referred to by name so infrequently and so sporadically, and because it's like narrated by him and there's no third person or whatever, I feel like every time the word David is said or mentioned or anything, it kind of like comes as a little jolt. And I don't know if that was intentional or just something that I experienced while reading this, but it was, I don't know, it was very interesting to watch the identities of so many others. There are like so many names in this book that get repeated, Giovanni and Hella and Jacques, that like you get to know these characters by name, and yet every time David was mentioned, I don't know, it just like took me aback. I was like, oh yes, this man's name is David. There is identity here. Plus, as I mentioned, the prose of this book is just like remarkable. It is so well written, so many lines. And well, first off, just like so many, not like flashy lines, but just so many like well-written, punchy lines. But just like overall, this is a book from like the first sentence I could tell I was gonna love. Not because like it had an especially like striking first sentence, but just like in the way that he structures his prose and his sentences is so effortless and so beautiful, and like succinct and yet gorgeous. There's also something very distinctly like American and European about this, because David and his fiancée Hella are both Americans living in Paris, and most of the other main characters are Europeans, either from Italy or from Paris, and that watching like this intersection of like these discussions of like what it means to be American versus European, and then a lot of like discussions about what it means to be a woman. I feel like part of the modern controversy of this book is in like some of LA, like I briefly skimmed the Wikipedia article, like the question of bisexuality, like why isn't it a possibility that he could be bisexual? But again, I think part of that is that like this isn't a book about terms or really about like concrete identity, more experience. But second, Hella discusses a lot about like being a woman and wanting to be like made a woman by David, and I could see that being controversial because I think she has this sort of traditional view of like, I want to be a woman for you, have a home, and have a family and all of these things, but I don't think it came across as bad in any way. But I don't think this book has like a bad view of women, nor do I think Hella or David have bad views of women. I think this is just like a book about people who are all trying to figure it out in different ways, at different stages, and obviously like the particularities of all of them trying to figure it out, whether it's sexuality or womanhood or identity. The specific things are very moving, but at the same time I think just like all their journeys or lack thereof of trying to figure out where you fit into the world, just so good, man. I'm so upset about this stupid camera. When I picked it up to come in here to start filming, I was twisting it a little bit, and it was a little difficult to twist, and I probably should have told me, okay, stop. But it was still kind of twisting if I jostled it a little bit. And then a click happened, and now like I can kind of twist the, I don't know camera terms, but it doesn't zoom in or out, and there's nothing I can do. So that, we're bummed. We're a little bit bummed, but that's okay. At least I'm wearing this adorable outfit that I got from Princess Polly in like the fall, so I haven't gotten to wear it yet. It's just like this pink skirt, pink shirt. I'm probably so out of focus because this camera does not automatically focus. I have to like go press the button, which is, that's like, okay, that's the bigger problem with the whole camera being broken thing. When I go to film, the camera needs to be close enough to me so that and we're just gonna do this embarrassing thing, I have to like reach and do that. And so like I can't sit far away because I need to be able to reach out but have my body where I'm gonna sit. It's all a mess. So maybe I just should buy a new camera, but that's a lot of money. So I'm gonna start night next. It's Tuesday and I want to finish it tomorrow. So I'm gonna go pick that up, finish listening to The Velvet Rope by Janet Jackson, and get into that. Hello everyone. I've come to a park to clear my thoughts. You probably only see like houses and a little bit of the park in the background. I'm at this little corner of the park where there's a little fountain, and I'm gonna put these on to talk to you. I don't know why. Well, I do know why. I know why the camera thing bothers me so much. I've never been good at like small things going wrong. I remember maybe like the first like real panic attack I ever had was I was in like middle school or early high school, and I was doing something on Microsoft Word, and like it was kind of like freezing up, or like pictures weren't moving the right way, and it just like it made like all of my skin cells like tense up, and then I felt like I couldn't breathe, and like I don't know, I remember that very, very vividly. And I think there's something about just like small, specifically technology, but just like small things going wrong that like really messes with me. For big things, like you can kind of anticipate it. Like I can anticipate applying to a job and not getting it, or like, I don't know, doing poorly on a test or something. But like I wasn't expecting this camera I've had since the 8th grade to like knock it over and, I don't know, break it. So yeah, I was able to like buy a replacement, hopefully a lens that fits. I did like the minimal amount of research, and my camera kind of sucks anyways. It only films for like 10 minutes at a time. So when I go to film, I press it, I do this stupid little, what's it called? I focus it with my stupid arm outstretched, and then I set an alarm for 9 minutes on my phone, and like probably at least once in every video I film, the alarm will go off like as I'm speaking, and then I have to try to remember what I was saying when I started that thing. It's just like, it's ridiculous. The good thing is like the camera works currently. Again, I can't zoom in or out, so I'll just have to like find an angle to talk about night when I start that when I go home. I mean, I'll probably update you later tonight. Night, wow. Jesus. I'm here, I'm in the park. Again, I'm not in like a super green part right now, but let me like, yeah, pretty, am I right? I'm gonna do a little walk around, listen to I like to listen to like an album every time I go to the park, and my phone doesn't have a ton of battery, so I think I'm just gonna like listen to an EP. I'm probably gonna listen to Sugar and Spice by Hatchie, which is a very dream pop, jangle pop fun time. But yeah, that's been my little update. See you guys soon. Hello everyone. I am in both pajamas and makeup, so without further ado, it's time to talk about my last book. First, a few life updates before we get to that, given that this has, I don't know, been somewhat of a vlog. I ordered a new, what's it called, lens, so hopefully by the time my next video is out, this whole situation will be fixed and I'll be able to zoom in and zoom out all nicely. Second, and I don't even know if it's that apparent in this lighting, I kind of checked what's going on, but I'm officially blonde now. The difference between the blonde and the silver is very noticeable in certain lightings, but like right now I just have like 2 lamps and an overhead light, so like I don't know how clear it is. Maybe I'll put a picture up so you can see, because I'm really happy with it. That's like small and tiny given the stuff that we're about to talk about. But yeah, I just mean to say that personally, this vlog ended on a positive note. There was some turmoil, there was some drama, but things are looking up for yours truly. And my final book, I read this in a day. I started it while I was at my hair appointment, which it felt weirdly sacrilegious, and I finished it tonight. And that was Night by, I believe, Elie Wiesel. Night is an autobiographical text about Elie Wiesel's time during the Holocaust as a 15-year-old boy in concentration camps, and it basically just tells his story. I want to start off by saying that I didn't rate this book on Goodreads. I had the feeling like midway through that I was like, I don't know what to rate this. I don't know if I should, because obviously, like, it's a book. This is a published book with words and artistry that like can be discussed or criticized or whatever. But actually I was looking at the back of the book, and one of the quotes is, "As a human document, Night is almost unbearably painful and certainly beyond criticism." And I do think there's something to say there. Like, obviously, just like in our lives, and especially on BookTube, there is like an emphasis on rating books and like how much did you like it. But like what matters to me about having read this is that now I have read it, and not that if someone says like, hey, have you read Night, I can be like, yeah, I gave it a 4 out of 5 or whatever. So just want to put that out there, that this is not a book I am rating. Obviously, like, writing quality matters in a book, but I think his story is so important on like a history basis. I think what I'm trying to say is that like there is historical and archival and like sociological merit to this book beyond its merit as just like a book for enjoyment. If someone's like, hey, what's a great book to read and enjoy, I'm not sure I would recommend Night, but I think it is an incredibly important artistic and human document. Is that literally, as a human document, I literally just took the words from the back of the book. I think having a first-hand account of what it was really like you learn about the Holocaust and World War II and atrocities in varying degrees in schools. I was raised Jewish, and so I went to Hebrew school for like 10 years, so like learning about the Holocaust was just like a big part of my childhood. But I think in a way getting it directly from the source and not through a textbook or through a Hebrew school teacher or through a public school teacher or something, but just like his direct words, obviously again like an edited text, but like this is his experience. It's powerful. It's especially interesting reading like the first 20 to 30 pages where you're seeing him and his family and his community like figure it out, but also like before they figure out what's going on, where they're being like put into ghettos, and at first they kind of think, well, this is a good thing, we're all among our kind, and like maybe this won't be so bad, and like knowing like it's 2021 and reading this and knowing what happens, it's just like, it's really harrowing. It's very chilling. Ultimately, I am so glad I read this. I understand why it is rated so highly on Goodreads. Again, I think if I was gonna give this a rating, it would be incredibly high. It just feels weird to quantify. I think because, sorry, this is so jumbled. It's like, it is 11:25 at night, and all of my sentences are just, whew! I don't want to say that, like, you can never rate nonfiction, because every single nonfiction book is like someone's real experience, and it's not like I'm never gonna rate nonfiction. I've rated nonfiction before and probably will in the future. I don't know what it is about this that feels so especially weighty, that to rate the book feels like somehow putting a number on his experience. I think, I don't know, but I mean, ultimately, incredibly glad I read it. I think it's very important. I think, again, as an autobiographical text, I think as a historical document, and as like a portrait of what it was really like, if that is anything you are interested in consuming, I would really recommend this. Obviously, it's incredibly heavy. It is, it's very heavy, so like, read at your own risk, but I think, I'm very glad I read this, I think is what I will conclude with. And those are the 3 books. We had 3 hits, man. 2 5-star reads and 1 unrated, but like, top-notch read, which is so exciting. Again, part of the point of this video was to get me to want to read again, and I read 3 books in like 5 or 6 days, which is crazy given that I've read 11 books all year. And I know this was a chaotic, probably not very aesthetic, not very well put together vlog, but I like the idea of kind of taking you with me on what I'm doing. I probably could have filmed a little bit more, maybe got like a clip of me in the hair salon, or a little bit more at the park or whatever, but if you enjoy things like this that show a little bit more of my life, please let me know. If also you're like, I don't care, I'm here to hear you talk about books and movies and music, like, it doesn't matter what you do, Nicole, you can tell me that too, because I make videos for me, but also for the people who watch. But that is all I have for you guys in this one. Thank you so much for watching, and you will see me in the next one.